Welcome to INFINTECH, where decision makers connect. INFINTECH is organized by Logate, your painless vendor for digital journey, in partnership with Mastercard, empowering connections, shaping tomorrow.
Dobro jutro, Montenegro. I need my clicker, but in the meantime, I'm going to start. On the side? Okay, cool. So thank you so much for attending after what I hope was a very productive evening. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can reinvent banking, but doing a leap, so really embracing digital capabilities across the entire bank. And I'm going to do that by telling you a story of a very brave woman that launched 2 different companies. They are disrupting digital bank, not just in UK, but now across the world. So before we start, let me just ask, can you raise your hand if you have heard about Anne Boden before? No one, wow. What about Starling? A bit more, okay. And what about Engine? One person, that's not bad. Okay, so Anne Boden was a banker with more than 30 years of experience in traditional banking. About 10 years ago, she was very frustrated because she wanted to make banking better for people. And therefore, she decided to leave her career behind of, a corporate world and become an entrepreneur. And her vision was to help people and making them have a better relationship with money by empowering them to do, manage their daily lives on their mobile. And therefore, she started a journey which became a book called Banking on It. If you haven't read it, I suggest. It's quite an interesting story. And with ups and downs, she ended up by launching Starling Bank. To deliver on her vision, she looked around in terms of what technology was available, because she couldn't find anything that would allow her, to empower at the same time customers, but also employees. She ended up by creating and building a single platform that Starling was using to run their daily operations. As a result, Starling Bank became one of the most loved banks in UK and one of the first neobanks profitable across the world. Just to give you a few data points, so Starling Bank has now around 4.5 million customers, of which 500,000 are SMEs. We have a cost to operate of around 50 euros, which is 3 times less than a traditional bank in UK, but at the same time we are more profitable, around 6 times the ratio of other neobanks such as Revolut. So because the technology was the key differentiator of the bank, when we start thinking about expanding internationally, we launched Engine. And what is Engine? So Engine is a SaaS business that now is creating, with other partners across the world, a community of like-minded banks that want to make banking better for people in their home countries by leveraging the blueprint of Starling Bank as a key accelerator. Of course, they still want to innovate on top of it and at speed, and they really want to unlock business value. And when I say business value, I mean 3 different dimensions. So they want to deliver high-level customer service, which helps them grow the business organically. They still want to be a very efficient bank, and so they want to empower their employees so they can be very efficient operationally. And of course, they want to do it fast because they need to react either to opportunities in the market, such as the SME segment that is underserved, or they want to react to new entrants in their market. And you will ask me, in this region, we are making a lot of money. Why do I need to change the way I'm working fundamentally? And I just want to give you one perspective, right? Neobanks are becoming global players, and they are disrupting the industry across the globe, not just because they are entering new markets, but because they are fundamentally changing the expectations of customers and employees. I'm sure everyone knows about Revolut, but can you raise your hand if you have heard about Nubank? Okay, so I'm Portuguese. Nubank is a Brazilian bank, and therefore, I follow them quite close. It's an amazing success story. So I joined Engine about a year ago. A year ago, they had 80 million customers across 3 countries in Latin America. 1 year later, they have 20 million, so 40 million customers more in 1 year. It's really a different game player, okay? So, but still, if you look at financially, compare with Starling, which is a much smaller bank, we still have a ratio of 6 times more profitability per customer. And therefore, for customers that want to embrace a different way of working, let's imagine together what the future could look like if you decide to join our community of like-minded banks. So let's start with customers. And let's pick the example of my husband that is just there. He's an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur in modern life, he has to balance personal life with his business and with a wife that is always traveling. So he needs to take care of Victoria home, be a very excellent professional. And therefore, it's extremely useful for an entrepreneur that you can, in a single app, very quickly swap between your personal account, your joint account, your kids' account, and your business. With such an app, you can, do 98% of your operations that you need to run your business and your personal life. So you have all the features to spend better. Because you spend better, you can save more. And because you save more, you can plan to have, life key important decisions in life in terms of investments, like, I don't know, maybe buy a house here in Montenegro, which is such a great country to be in. But for instance, for entrepreneur, there are other pain points beyond finance, right? So, tax and the admin burden. And it's great to have an app where it actually helps you on at that level as well. So you can use some features like the spaces that you see there in the middle to save for your taxes in US if you are also an US American like my husband. Or by having integration with accounting solutions, you can, for instance, manage your business. So let's imagine you have a project that you need to do. You open a space for that project. You give a virtual card to one of your employees with the employee name on it, so he can point all the expenses of that project in the space. You give an IBAN to your customer so he can do the payments directly to that space. And you give access to your accountant to that space so he can do the accounting with real time. And by the end of the project, you can just look at the balance that you have in your space and know if you made money out of the project or not. The project is finished, you close the space, all the money moves to the account. Now, customers is just part of the equation. The success of a digital bank comes also by empowering your employees. Okay? So imagine that you are a CEO of a bank or a manager, and you have a single dashboard where you can understand how your bank is operating, measure the current KPIs real time and make informed decisions accordingly. Imagine that you work on the product team or on the marketing team, and you have access to real-time data, and you spot an opportunity to launch a product, and you can do it in minutes out of configuration. Of course, it might take a few days because of compliance, but you don't have to be dependent on IT. Imagine you're an agent on the customer service department. When the customer needs to call you on the 2% of the times that he needs, because he will need at some point, you have all the information about the customer, no matter if it's his business account, personal account, etc., etc. You know why the customer is calling, and you have all the tools to help your customer fixing the problem without having to hand over to a different customer, to a different colleague. If you work on the onboarding, you have your own dashboard. If you work on compliance, you have your own dashboard. If you work in payments, you have your own dashboard, and so forth. So all the employees in a bank, they work with a single dashboard that is tailored to them, but triggers high levels of efficiency, because as you move in your career, you know how to work efficiently, and all the teams are connected. Now, this is a great blueprint. So what we provide is the blueprint of a bank that is self-serve first and human-centric. Now, we know every market is different, and you need to have a proposition that resonates in your market. The platform is flexible, so you actually can build your own DNA. You can integrate with solutions that you have already in-house that really are best in the market. You can integrate with local payments to take into account the reality and the context of your market. You can expand the value proposition beyond retail and SME to investments, because it's something that is attracting players in the market. And you might decide not to be just human-centric. You might want to be AI first. And you can do that by integrating automated solutions, because you have a standardized platform with a unique source of data and unified processes. Now, you can do that at speed. We have already helped multiple customers, and I just want to mention two of those customers that help, embrace these new ways of working and are operating in a different way in less than 12 months. So in Australia, we have AMP Bank, which is a 150-year-old bank specialized in mortgages. They wanted to address the market of SMEs, so they work with us to create a standalone business and launch a new proposition around retail and SME banking. They've done it in less than a year. Now, close to home, and I think probably more relevant for you guys, is Salt Bank in Romania. As I mentioned before yesterday, I don't know who were there in the panel, if you can raise the hand, if you were there. Okay, a few people. Salt Bank is part of Bank of Transylvania. Bank of Transylvania is one of the major banks in Romania. As you probably know, Romania is one of the banks where Revolut had more success. To Revolut became a verb in Romania. They were really struggling in attracting the segment of the 25-45 years old. And Bank of Transylvania knew that it was not just a tech, but it was also a matter of brand perception. So they knew that they needed to do something completely different. And what they decided to do in the end was to spin off, to buy a bank for the license and create a complete new greenfield bank. They needed to do it fast. So they decided to join our community, partner with Engine, and embrace not just the technology, but also all the ways of working. So they trained all the new people they hired on the processes that were in the platform. But they also embrace the operating model. So, for instance, they also offer a contact center that is human-centric, is in-house, available 24/7, no IVR. So, if a customer wants to talk to them, they have a very personalized experience. We also help them with the compliance side of things because it was the first digital bank in Romania. And after 6 months, they had a bank that was standalone and compliant and approved by the regulator. With that done, they could focus on the other 2 pillars that really create the success and the differentiation in the market. The first one was the value proposition. So they wanted to have a value proposition on day one that was at least as good as Revolut. So all the features and all the products that Revolut was proposing, they were there. But they wanted to grow fast, so they wanted also a fully automated onboarding journey. Okay? With the value proposition done, then also focused on the other pillar that really was fueling fast growth. The pillar around the brand and the go-to-market campaign. If you see that pretty animal there, a sloth, is their mascot. I suggest you actually to go to LinkedIn and see the marketing advertising. It's really cool. But there was a purpose behind picking such original mascots. They wanted to show that they could be trusted as a bank that usually is perceived as a bit slow. But then they wanted to surprise people and show that they could do a leap and behave as a fintech. And that was all the branding around the slot. In parallel, they've also wanted to start very strong in terms of customer base. So they launched this founder scheme where the first 80,000 people to subscribe a card will become founders. And by becoming founders, they have special services, like they have a special queue in the contact center, but also they will be shareholders if one day they go public. With this strategy, they managed to onboard 150,000 people in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. They were victim of their own success because their onboarding team was not enough, so they had to set up a war room where everyone in the bank, including the CEO, was onboarding people. So that shows the power of their strategy, but also the flexibility and ease of use of the platform. But they haven't stopped there. So from day one, with Engine and on top of Engine, they continue to innovate and diversify their value proposition. So in the first year, on the foundation that they have was current accounts with I don't know how many currencies and other features. They launched after go live savings, investments, insurance, SME business, and they launched innovative features to help both retail and SME, like cashbacks, bills, and features that build trust and protect elderly people, like Help Mama, which is a feature where someone on the family can keep an eye on the transactions of an elderly person to make sure she's not victim of fraud. As a result, in a year after launch, I don't know, they won probably more than 50 awards. They are already one of the most loved brands in Romania. And they reach more than 500,000 customers. The population of Montenegro, but also that represents 4% of market share. From 0 to 4% of market share in less than a year. They are already a top 10 bank in Romania. I was with them last week, preparing the strategy for the next 2 years. Because they have such a strong foundation, they really have ambitions, great ambitions for the future. So watch this space. Now, I mentioned many things here. If one day, if you are interested to explore on how to join this community of like-minded banks, or simply you want to learn from our experience, to apply within your own banks and build it in-house, please do reach out, because our mission goes beyond commercial commitments. We really want to work with different banks across the world to make banking better for people in their own countries together. Thank you.